where I'm delighted to be joined now by Jean-Christophe Babin. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Bulgari. Mr. Babin, thank you for joining us this morning. When you look at some of your hotels business, how will COVID affect future openings, but also how you manage this business compared to the other things, the watches and the jewelry?
Well, good morning. The first thing is that the COVID has not impacted at all. I mean, the ambition and the vision in terms of openings. We have 6 units open right now. We have 4 which are under construction and which will open anywhere between early 2021 and mid 2023. So Paris in 21, Rome and Moscow in 2022, and Tokyo in 2023. So those 4 are in construction, well advanced to open, and we'll announce in the next 2 to 3 months a couple of other openings, including one in the United States. So you see that despite the COVID spread you were just referring to in the USA, this doesn't change an inch our strategy. We are convinced as Bulgari that the experiential luxury is a very important potential of growth for Bulgari in the future, and that obviously to be the best competitor, we need also to be a global competitor. So besides Asia, Europe, Middle East, where we are already present with our hotels, obviously, we must be in America in order to bring the famous Roman Italian hospitality to the United States the same way we did in other regions.
Were you able to compensate? I mean, you've had to close down your stores for a period of time. Were you able to compensate with e-commerce? Are customers also okay to buy such expensive things online?
Well, e-commerce, when it comes to watch and jewelry, is not obviously as penetrated as when it comes to consumer goods or mass products, just because they are very personal, they are in contact with the skin, it's part of your styling. So there are products that very often you must try yourself before you make the purchasing decision. So we had a growth in e-commerce, triple digit, but still e-commerce represents for a company like Bulgari less than 10% of sales, when in services it can be 80% of sales, or in cosmetics it can be 30% of sales. So it has helped, but surely not offset the closure of the stores. And our main priority is obviously to further expand our network of e-commerce. Now we are in the 15 key markets, covering, I would say, 85% of the world demand. So this will be the most dynamic channel for Bulgari in the years to come. At the same time, if I look at Bulgari, very quick recovery in China and Korea, which have been the 2 first countries to really eradicate or control the COVID and resume normal activities. In those 2 countries, where after 6 months is growing more than 30%, despite, I mean, the parenthesis, and in the 30% growth in those countries, commerce accounts probably for 5, and the brick and mortar for 25. So we see that brick and mortar in the watch and jewelry business model remain today the bulk of the business.
You mentioned China. How worried about Hong Kong actually losing the status of this financial hub because of the recent laws? Are you worried that tourists and international buyers will not go to Hong Kong as much? And what does that mean for Bulgari?
Well, I mean, I'm worried for Hong Kongers, as obviously their economy is suffering a lot, which will impact very negatively, I mean, the daily life of Hong Kong residents. From a business standpoint, obviously, Hong Kong used to be the major, if not the #1 luxury city in the world. Since the social unrest, which started now years ago, this has been unfortunately declining to the point that the business we make in mainland China has now more than absorbed the business loss in Hong Kong. So I hope, as we all do, a strong Hong Kong recovery. On the other hand, obviously this means reopening the borders with mainland China, which are still officially closed, so Chinese just can't go shopping to Hong Kong those days, and B, that for a purely social balance, there will be found a compromise between Beijing and Hong Kong, so that the social unrest doesn't really prevent Chinese to go to the city for fear of riots, for fear of a bad experience, because no one wants to go in a city where obviously there is violence. It was the same thing with Yellow Jackets in Paris 1.5 years ago.
I know you because of the limited travel, you probably also had concerns in sourcing some of the gems used for your jewelry pieces. How much of a setback was that for the supply chain, and when do you expect things to go back to normal?
Well, as you know, the lockdown in air travel has been essentially on the passenger side, whereas the cargo has been booming and even increasing year on year. So when it comes to gem supplies, which are flown from countries such as Sri Lanka, such as Colombia, such as Kashmir, we never had a disruption in the supply chain just because the cargo air business has never been buoyant during the COVID, contrary to the passengers business, which has been totally sacrificed.
What do you see as the biggest challenge going forward? Are you worried about having to close down boutiques to make up for lost demand? Or do you think there's pent-up demand in the last 3 months that will actually come to fruition in Bulgari stores?
Well, what we've seen, at least in the first countries we're opening, I mentioned already China and Korea, where the results are just beyond belief. I mean, when we think that they are growing that much despite 10 weeks of interruption. And we see the same phenomenon, although to a lower magnitude. For instance, the first reopening countries in Europe, like Germany. Germany has been the first one to reopen, restart activities. And we are very positive with German people, meaning that they are compensating since April what they couldn't buy in the first quarter. And let's bear in mind that the core of our business is jewelry, and jewelry is not fashionable, meaning by that a B01, a Serpenti, a Diva are, and there's no worry that if you don't buy them in March because the stores are closed, they will be out of fashion in July, because by then there will be a next season. This is for fashion, and it's true for fashion. But for our luxury, even though we have news every year, they always capitalize on the icon like B01 rocks. But it's not an issue that the product is not available now, but only in 3 months. You just postpone. So I'm pretty confident that not within 2020, because 2020 will be very in 6 months to compensate for those many months of shutdown. And look at the US right now. I mean, COVID is still spreading. But I'm confident that over a period of 24 months, probably Bulgari will have recovered most of what has been lost during the COVID, because in our business, it's never lost. It's more postponed.